Hello, everybody. My name is Lena. I am a PhD student in consumer insights and marketing. And I've recently started creating resources that can help creative business owners get all your tech working together nicely. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about how to get your Zoom audio balanced for online dance and fitness classes when you have to have an instructor talking over the music. I'm a hobbyist dancer myself, and at this point, just the vast amounts of information about how to get Zoom audio working is just overwhelming. And unfortunately, the conclusion is in order to get really nice professional quality audio, you need to invest in a sound engineer and an audio mixer, and that's just not realistic for some people right now. So, this problem has been driving me up a wall for literally the better part of a month. And I have to let you know, I am vastly unqualified to solve it. I cannot stress enough how little I know about audio engineering, so you should take anything I say in this with a huge grain of salt. That being said, I'm super excited to report that after a whole bunch of trial and error, I have finally figured out a way to balance the Zoom audio without the need for a physical audio mixer. And we're going to do this by using a virtual audio mixer. Here, I'll explain. So what you're going to need for this are a Windows computer. I'm so sorry to anyone who has a Mac. The program that I'm using actually doesn't work on a Mac. I will link in the description of this video to another YouTube video that talks about a different program that you can use on Mac, but unfortunately it is a little bit more expensive. You're also going to need some sort of webcam, obviously, for working with Zoom. This can be internal, external, doesn't matter. And then you are going to need a microphone for picking up your voice. Again, this can be the internal microphone in your laptop or computer, or it can be an external USB microphone. I'm going to be using this little conference microphone here, and I probably should not have picked that up because it is picking up my voice right now. So sorry if my audio got really wonky there for a second. But yeah, I borrowed this from my lab. It's not a fancy microphone, it's just what I happen to have around. The audio quality won't be quite as good with the internal microphone of your laptop, but you can make it work. You're also going to need a pair of Bluetooth headphones for this. This is so that you're not playing music out of your speakers, which will then be picked up by your microphone. We're going to pipe all the music into your headphones to keep the audio a little bit clearer. And this is going to be especially helpful if you're using the internal microphone of your laptop that may be not as powerful. The last two things you need are two pieces of software, Voicemeeter Potato and a virtual audio cable set A and B. And I'm going to go over exactly what these are and point to the website, so don't worry about them right now. What's really cool is that both of these are donationware products. So it's a pay what you can or pay what you will kind of situation. You can actually use Voicemeeter Potato for free up front. So this means that you can get started and get this setup going with minimal investment. The two virtual audio cables, and you will need two of them, they are $5 minimum donation for both of them. Of course, you can donate more if you really like the software. But really, your minimum startup cost, like right out of the bat, is only going to be $5. So that's much cheaper than other solutions out there involving physical mixers. And again, I can't say this disclaimer enough. This is not a professional quality audio setup. This is a make it work, get it done kind of audio setup. I am going to link into the description to a couple people who are offering paid training on how to set up like a sound engineer approved, really nice professional audio. So if that's something that you want to look into, this is probably not the video for you. All right, so moving on, what is the problem with Zoom audio and what are we doing to fix it? Okay, so what is the problem with just standard Zoom audio? Why do we need to fix it in the first place? As I'm sure you're well aware, playing music from a speaker in the same room as your Zoom call doesn't necessarily ensure good audio. It usually ends up choppy, distorted, it can be really laggy, and just really hard to hear. The other way that people have gotten around this is by sharing their desktop audio directly to Zoom, which is great. Audio is crystal clear, except for the fact that the volume of your voice as an instructor is so low compared to the music. And you can almost, like, you can barely hear instructors over the music, and that's really not good for a fitness type class or if you're trying dance choreography to music and need to do cues. So the solution to this is to use a mixer. So a mixer takes the audio from your microphone and the audio from your music source, combines it into a balanced output where you can hear the voice over the music, and sends it to Zoom. And in this case, it's also going to send it to your headphones because you want to be able to, again, hear the music without having it play super loudly, be picked up by your microphone and create a bunch of feedback. So you can do this with a physical audio mixer where you take a physical audio cable and you plug your music source into the mixer and you plug your microphone into the mixer. But we're going to be doing this with a virtual audio mixer, Voicemeeter Potato. So these virtual audio cables I briefly mentioned before are going to come in here and here. Basically, your computer microphone can directly connect to Voicemeeter Potato, and that's great. However, Voicemeeter Potato doesn't know how to pick up your music source, like Windows Media Player or Spotify or iTunes, wherever you're playing your music from. So what we need to do is tell your music source, and I'm going to be using Windows Media Player in this tutorial for this example, is say, hey, instead of playing to my desktop speaker, I want you to play into a virtual audio cable. And then we're going to connect the other end of that virtual cable into Voicemeeter Potato, our virtual mixer. So again, no real cables. We're just setting the output from your music player to the virtual mixer. We're also going to need to somehow connect the virtual mixer to Zoom. So what we're going to be doing is setting the second of the virtual audio cables we have, and we're going to be connecting one end of that to our mixer and connecting the other end of that to Zoom, and that's going to give us a balanced output. We're also going to have our headphones connected to this. But here's a really cool thing about Voicemeeter Potato is we can actually adjust the volume levels differently for Zoom versus our headphones. So that means you could have the music really loud or really soft in your headphones, and the participants could be hearing a completely different volume level. So not only can you adjust the relative volume of your voice and the music, but you can have that adjustment be different for Zoom versus your headphones because you have two output sources. All right, so let's go ahead and set this up. Okay, so this website that I'm on right here is where you can download Voicemeeter Potato and the virtual audio cable from. Again, we're going to need two virtual audio cables. So you can download one for free, but we're going to need two. So we're going to click on this link right here, the virtual cable A plus B. You can use C or D. As far as I know, there's no difference between the two, but I just used A and B. So if you want to follow along with exactly what I did, that's what you're going to want to use. So click on your currency. And as you can see here, there's different donation options. The cheapest one right now is $4.17. Just add it to the cart. You'll be taken to a page where you can instantly download it and download these virtual audio cables. You're then going to want to download Voicemeeter Potato. There are 3 different variants of Voicemeeter software, and you'll notice that Potato is definitely the most complicated of them. Don't get scared, don't get intimidated by this interface. It looks super scary, but we're only going to be clicking about 5 buttons, so it's much more manageable than it looks like. That being said, if you're planning on stress eating or drinking a bunch of tea during this process, I won't judge you. I literally have a pizza bagel right here because it's 10 p.m. and I'm really excited I finally figured out how to do this. So once you get Voicemeeter Potato and your virtual audio cables installed, you're going to want to open this Voicemeeter Potato interface. And again, it is super confusing when you first open it. Do not panic. This is normal. Everything is fine. Let's break down the different segments of the interface so that you can get a little bit more comfortable with it. First of all, over here are our inputs. We can have up to 5 inputs, but we are only using 2 in this case. So one input is my microphone, and the other input is this virtual audio cable, which again, we are going to connect to our music player. Now, when you first open up the program, none of this is going to be set up like this. It's just going to be on its defaults. That's okay. I will show you how to set up everything. I'm just going over right now what the overall interface looks like. In the middle, we have these virtual inputs. Okay, and I'm going to be honest here. Again, not a sound engineer. I'm really unqualified to make this video. I don't get the difference between the hardware inputs and the virtual inputs. I guess hardware input is our microphone, but the virtual audio cable is virtual. I don't know. Anyway, this is basically our desktop audio, and that goes right here. And then there's 3 channels, so you could get extra fancy if you want to. We are only going to be using one, and this is important to keep in mind throughout all of this tutorial. We need to pay really careful attention to whether we're using the VAIO channel or the VAIO3 channel. I don't know the difference between them, so just use the VAIO. But if we have different things connected to different sources, it could get all messy and then we're not going to hear our audio correctly. So the last part of the interface is over here, and this is our hardware out section. So I have two pieces of hardware set up as my output, my headphones, my wireless headphones, and then the audio cable B that I'm going to attach to Zoom later. So first of all, you can change the output by clicking on one of these outputs here. I have my headphones set as output A1 and the audio cable B set as output A2. Now you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of options here. Again, this is normal, no need to panic. Then we also have over here, these are the volume controls, and we'll get back to these in a little bit. So let's go over the easy stuff. Let's make sure that this system is properly configured to our headphones and to our microphone. So if you're using a USB microphone, you need to go ahead, get that plugged in now, and make sure that it's all set up and ready to go. I definitely recommend testing your microphone with just voice notes on your computer or some other sort of system, Zoom itself, just to make sure that everything is A-okay with that microphone before we start using it with Voicemeeter Potato. We're going to go over here to Hardware Input, and we're going to click on it and find your microphone in this drop-down menu. For my laptop, this Realtek Audio is my internal microphone, and the 2 USB audio codec is my external conference microphone that I have plugged in via a USB into my computer. You'll notice that these appear multiple times in this list, and they have different prefixes here. So there's WDM, KS, and MME. Again, yet another disclaimer, I'm not an audio engineer. The best explanation that I've heard of this recently is that these are like different lanes on a highway. And if you have a lot of cars blocking up the same lanes, you're going to get a traffic jam and things aren't going to work as you would hope. So in this strange analogy, WDM, KS, and MME are your lanes on your highway, and your data is like the cars and traffic that are clogging up those lanes. So if you have a lot of inputs connected to the same lane, it could cause weird effects like crackling or excessive lagging. And I'm going to link a YouTube video below with some troubleshooting for if you get this like crackling, really choppy sound whenever you try to listen to anything through Voicemeeter Potato. But I don't know enough to advise you on the settings that work best for you. Again, I would recommend talking to an audio expert or a streaming expert if you're really having some difficulty with it. I'm just going to show you the settings that worked for me. I selected microphone, and then I selected KS as my channel for audio cable A. And remember, we're going to plug this into our music player app in a minute. I then, over here in my outputs, used MME for my headphones and MME for audio cable B, which remember, we are going to plug into Zoom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this volume control here. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to click Open Sound Settings. I'm going to scroll down to Advanced Sound Options, and you'll see here that all of my apps now have separate inputs and outputs. So this one at the top here is your master volume. This is what you change when you select your playback device here. We want to pick one of our Voicemeeter virtual inputs as our default playback device from this computer. So we're basically saying that anytime there's audio on our desktop, we want to send it directly to Voicemeeter Potato. So I've set my playback device for my entire computer as Voicemeeter Input VB Audio Voicemeeter VAIO. The default input here doesn't matter. What I'm then going to do is I'm going to go down to Windows Media Player, and I am going to change the output to VB Audio Cable B. A. VB Audio Cable A. So cable A is attached to my music. That goes into the mixer. It gets combined with my microphone. It goes out cable B, and we're going to link that to Zoom. Okay, so this is good. And when I play my music, because we have set up Voicemeeter Potato to accept cable A. It is piping from Windows Media Player into Voicemeeter Potato, and this will work for any music playback app that you might be using, Spotify, iTunes, whatever. Okay, so now let's play around with some of the settings. If you click on one of these buttons here, what it's going to do is it's going to turn on that channel for one of your output devices. So right now, my music is playing to both channel A1, remember that's my headphones so I can hear the music, and channel A2, that's the virtual audio cable that we're going to be plugging into Zoom. So if I turn this off, the music stops. If I turn it back on, the music is back on. What's really cool is that I can go here to this master selection area, and this is where I can change the relative volume of these two items for each specific output channel. If I were to, for example, with none of my output channels selected, raise the volume of my music gets extremely high volume. If I select channel A1, you can see it right here, it says A1, and do the same thing, this is really loud in my headphones, but you can't hear any change because I only changed the relative volume level for channel A1, my headphones. Now I'm going to select only channel A2, and I'm going to blast the music. So the music got really, really loud for you, but I couldn't hear any difference. And that was because I only changed it in channel A2, which is a virtual audio cable that's connecting to what you hear. The volume level stayed the same in my headphones. So this means that you can tweak the audio exactly to the level that your students prefer on Zoom, while also having the music audio at exactly the level that you prefer. Another thing you'll notice is this channel here, hardware input 1, I do not have it checked for A1. So that means I'm not hearing my own voice in my ears, which I find very distracting. I do have it lit up for channel A2, which means it is being output to Zoom. Okay, again, I know this is a lot, but hopefully this helps to explain kind of the basic setup of this program. Again, I am going to link to 2 YouTube videos that helped me with troubleshooting. And there are many excellent resources out there on Voicemeeter Potato that can explain its intricacies a lot better than I can. So now we're going to show how we can link all of this up to Zoom. Okay, so I have a Zoom meeting up and running here. I don't have my video on, but I am connected to the computer audio. So what we're going to want to do is change our audio source in Zoom. Now, this is kind of tricky. We're not going to do it from that audio settings area that I told you about before. We are actually going to do it from directly within Zoom. If we try to change the input and output devices from Zoom from the sounds menu, for some reason it gets kind of wonky, so we're going to do it from here. You just need to click on this little right up arrow next to the mute button, and you want to choose cable B output for your microphone. So that means that instead of picking up from your microphone, it's picking up directly from that audio cable that we have attached to Voicemeeter Potato. For speaker, you want to select the same speaker that you currently have your system speaker set to. In this case, mine is the VB Audio Voicemeeter VAIO. So now, I'm going to play the music again. And what's going to happen is Zoom is going to get the music and our voice perfectly balanced because Zoom is getting the output of that virtual audio cable B. I would definitely recommend doing a sound test about 5 minutes before your class. It is hard to predict exactly what this is going to sound like to your students, although one workaround is to record a Zoom meeting to test your audio. Again, you're hearing a different thing in your headphones than is going into Zoom because of the setup, but the Zoom recording is going to reflect the output of virtual audio cable B and not what is in your headphones. It is a way to check, but I'd recommend just, again, starting early, getting your students on the line, and asking them whether or not they want your voice raised or lowered and the music volume raised or lowered. Ooh, one thing I almost forgot is that to shut this all down when you're done recording so you don't have Voicemeeter Potato messing with your computer audio, all you do is close the program using this X here. And after you do that, you want to go over to your playback device and set it on whatever your playback device was before. In my case, my default computer one is this Realtek Audio Speakers headphones. Then you're also going to want to right click, open sound settings, wait for this to come up, scroll all the way down to app volume and device preferences, and reset all of these to default. And that's it. If you found this helpful, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. Like I said earlier, I have just started to make resources to help creative business owners deal with all of the weird technical challenges that come when trying to get your different systems to play along nicely with each other. And if you have any particular questions, don't hesitate to send me a DM. I'll be happy to see what I can do to answer them. Thank you so much.